Hey everybody, and welcome back to another exciting episode of the VOD Squad, the show where we talk about streaming technology. This is episode 226 on March 17th, 2021. I am Clyde, and today I am joined by a well-rested Jimmy Trammell.
Hey guys, how's it going?
I'd say you're probably as normally haggard as normal by the school year, Matthew Ross.
Yeah, about right. It's actually a pretty good day, but, you know, days all come and go as they go.
And then Michael Aston. I don't even know what to say about you.
There's not much to say.
Yeah, you sound you sound pretty stuffed up.
That's about it. I mean, I live in Austin, so I'm allergic to everything.
I mean, you go to Florida and then you come back like sounding like you want to die.
Yeah, I mean, I was actually great the whole time I was in Florida. The second I walked off the plane, I started sneezing. Austin is allergies. That's really 98% of what makes up Austin.
So what I'm hearing is that you should probably move to Florida.
Yeah, I mean, it seems like a good plan to me.
Get a pet alligator. They hand those out like at the airport, right? Like Lay's in Hawaii.
I mean, if you don't get one at the airport, all you got to do is put a puddle in your backyard and you'll get one. So
all you got to do is send a small child down too close to the water at Disney World,
and one will emerge for you happily.
Yes.
Actually, that did happen a couple of years ago at Disney World.
That's scary.
That. Yeah.
Now, they're alligators in Florida, not crocodiles, right?
Yes.
Right.
Although I think they have found crocodiles in Florida because people bring them in and they thrive.
Wait, you live in Florida and you decide that's not good enough. Let's bring crocodiles. We don't want alligators.
Well,
let's bring crocodiles.
Think of like in the 80s, these big, very influential people maybe of South American heritage or maybe one of the islands. You know, they had a lot of money and from maybe dubious career. And they like to have weird things.
Well, you did say Tiger King, right?
Well, there's Tiger King. Perfect example. The Escobar guy down in Colombia. There's a bunch of hippos in Colombia that are just causing all kinds of trouble. They were his pet hippos back in the 80s, and that were basically set loose when he got taken down, and they've been thriving in the jungle, causing all kinds of problems. Wild hippos.
Crazy rich people bringing a weird species to your area for hundreds of years, thousands of years, probably. Kind of.
If I had my choice, though, I would want a gavial. I don't know if you guys.
What is a gavial?
Yeah. They're the alligators with the really long, skinny snout.
Yeah,
and they got like crazy teeth that like stick out everywhere.
Interesting.
The American crocodile is native to the Everglades area of Florida. So they do have crocodiles there naturally as well, but only in very South Florida. Like all of Florida has alligators though.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Here, okay.
You know, the audio listeners are going to love this, but here is a gavial.
Aw, it's so cute.
I know, right?
It's cute. The long little nose there, and
it's like
it looks like a permanent smile.
It's just like teeth everywhere.
Yeah, that'd probably be pretty scary, quite frankly. But it's cute in picture. Come on.
Yeah.
So you really want one of those?
No, I was saying
really?
if I was gonna have
if.
something of that variety, that's what I would pick.
How much extra money do you think you would need in order to be at that point where you're like, I'm going to get myself one of those? You know, is it $1 million?
No.
Is it 10 million?
When they're small, you can get them.
No, I'm not asking about how hard it is to get them. I'm asking
just saying, no, I could probably do it now if I didn't feel bad about getting rid of it later.
Right, but I'm asking you, how much money do you think you need to have, in your bank account before you're like, I'll get one? What the hell?
I don't know.
It's okay. It's a good answer.
Ask me when the stimulus comes in, and it might be then.
So next week, when we see Clyde and he has this horrible gash on his arm, and we have to explain.
Maybe one sitting on my shoulder for the show.
For me, that point is when I can afford to buy the zoo.
So you need the staff, right? That's what I was thinking.
You need the staff.
Honestly, I wouldn't get one because it violates my rule of pets.
What's your rule of pets?
No pets that poop in the house. I knew a guy here in Minnesota that had a pet alligator.
Ooh.
It lived in a pen, like a large pen down in the basement, and it smelled so disgusting down there. Have you ever tried to clean feces out of the alligator pen?
No, I can't say I've never done that.
I don't think he did either.
No!
Oh! Yeah.
I mean, how do you even do that?
This references back to my earlier point of when you can buy the zoo.
Yes.
Then it can be your pet.
Yeah, you can build the habitat. Unfortunately, they wouldn't fare very well outside. They probably do fine during the summer, but once November rolled around, I'd have to set it loose in Lake Minnetonka so it could go down to the bottom. All right. Well, what else we would have to do is probably move on to
move beyond alligator talk and talk about
this weekend. Crocodiles and alligators shall transition to
a device you can use to watch animal shows like alligator and crocodile shows on streaming services.
The alligator hunter, or is it the crocodile hunter?
It's the crocodile hunter.
Crocodile hunter.
Not too long ago. Right. No, we have a report here about a new streaming stick that's coming out from Walmart. It's using its on brand in order to make it. It's going to be using Android TV's the Android TV version 10, and it's going to be using one of the Google reference remotes. This little device it's not clear what the price is going to be for the streaming stick, but it is rumored to be around $25 or less. And this device is not going to be able to do 4K or HDR. It looks like it is only going to be able to do 1080p display. But for an inexpensive Android device, this is another one coming for everybody who might be interested in one.
Two things. This reinforces what I've been saying for the last few months, that it feels like Android TV is finally becoming ubiquitous. Enough that Walmart decided they needed to get in on making a budget one, which this apparently uses the same chip that's in the Xiaomi TV stick. So I'm curious what its price. The other thing is I finally get this brand name.
I love this brand name, by the way.
I finally get it, because normally the stuff that isn't a major name brand is referred to as an off-brand choice.
Right.
This is the on-brand. It's not an off-brand, it's the on-brand.
That's true. And also, all of their boxes are something on. For example, this would probably have the word stream on it. So stream on and watch on and play on.
Yeah, and I was always confused by why did they choose on, and now I get it. Because it's an off-brand, but no, it's not an off-brand, it's on.
I actually think it's a really good branding. I've also used it, and it's really good cheap stuff, if you know what I mean. It's not a premium, but it's good.
I've had a few accessories that were on, and they were fine. And I know a couple people that have the on smart Roku TVs. This makes perfect sense that they would do this. They were making their own version of the Roku soundbar for a while, which was also hailed as a fairly credible choice if you didn't want to spend as much as the actual Roku branded one. But this better be a very, very low priced Android TV. Because
I suspect it's going to be you can buy it for under $30 easily.
You better, because you can get like the
Roku
TiVo Stream 4K, which is an Android TV for like $50,
right?
And it supports 4K. So.
But yeah, it should be cheap. They are using a very inexpensive chip inside. It's not trying to be anything super fancy. I suspect they're going to just use the base skin for Android TV, and with probably just their branding on it, and that's it. But yeah, that should be really simple to do. And they were using the reference remote, so no having to design anything there. So it's going to be fine. So I don't have my ability to put in titles, but something's not off with on should be a title or something like that.
Something's
And that's
off
what
with on.
Something is not off with on, but that's okay. Whatever you want to put. All right. YouTube TV is no, not YouTube TV. Pardon me. YouTube proper is beginning to release a new version of their app onto the Apple TV tvOS platform. This is an update that updates it to be much more like the other platforms that have recently gotten updates to again unify the experience between the different platforms. This is going to be much more like what we are now seeing on the Android and the Chromecasts, as all of those start to get the similar interface. There apparently was some criticism of the earlier version of the YouTube app, whether it did not support the native tvOS touchpad for controls, and nobody has information whether or not this one fixes that. But other than that, it should be a nice, everywhere you go, YouTube looks the same interface for your Apple devices as well.
So the Apple TV does have like voice search integration, right? Or voice command integration in it.
It's better because that's YouTube is so open to you putting a query into it. I can't imagine somehow they closing that API.
Yeah,
the only web query.
The only thing that's my obvious complaint about this is that it uses that long bar for search, which just is the worst conceivable way to do search with a remote.
Going left to right.
Guarantees the absolute maximum number of button presses or holding down the thing to the arrow in order to select what you want. But as long as it has good integration into the Apple TV's voice search or voice commands, then you would just do your searches by voice and that would be okay.
And, I understand why they chose that keyboard layout. It's because it's graphically appealing, because you're able to search and see the results in real time, whereas the normal keyboard layout pops up and it's on top of everything because it takes up so much real estate on your screen that you can't see. And because that's one thing that YouTube does really good is it starts searching based on what you've done before,
right,
in real time.
On both the Roku and the Fire TV YouTube apps, you get the little box of them. They're just in alphabetical order in a box, and you still get the live search results along the bottom. So you don't get as many. It's not necessarily as visible, but it works just fine. I agree it's not as visually pleasing as this is, but I'll sacrifice visually pleasing any day for something that actually works reasonably well.
Yeah, this is a case of form over function.
Right. But again, becomes a complete moot point if you search with voice. So.
And then also, if their search algorithm is working properly, you shouldn't have to get through more than like 3 or 4 letters. before it says, "Oh, is it one of these?"
Yeah,
Um,
that's fair as well.
If you're in the Apple ecosystem, right? You have an Apple TV. Every time you go to a search box like this, it buzzes your phone so that you can pick up your phone and just type in whatever you want from your phone, right?
Okay,
So
that's a reasonable alternative.
I mean, you have to have the iPhone and the Apple TV together, right? But it does do that, right? So, but then you have the voice as well. You can.
Do you like that? Do you use that, or do you prefer just
all the time? If I'm searching for something, right, I just tap on it with the remote, pick up the phone, and type in what I want.
And
right?
I do use that phone keyboard functionality on the Roku. I've been doing that for years, especially
Roku does it as well.
Primarily, I only use it for when I'm logging into a new service and I have to put in my password. Because I am not doing that on an on-screen keyboard. I don't care what the layout is. But
23 or so characters.
But I mean, with YouTube though, if I'm gonna pick up my phone, I'm most likely just gonna open the YouTube app on my phone, find the video I want, and then hit cast, and then send it over. Because the YouTube app is nice where it just takes the info. It doesn't do like your phone is actually streaming it across the network. It just tells the other YouTube on the other device, oh, hey, go to this link. So then you can still control everything from TV or wherever the destination was. But no, I hear you.
All right. Here's an interesting one for you guys. HBO Max is going to be showcasing some of their technology and shows for South by Southwest. They're doing it in a couple of ways, and they're doing something called HBO Max Orbit, which, if I'm understanding correctly, there's going to be a couple different ways you can experience this. First of all, online. They will use their software in order to watch your facial expressions and hear your voice and respond to basically how you're reacting to what you're being shown in order to give you more of what you're interested in this huge database of various clips that they have of a bunch of their shows on HBO Max. They also have apparently if you're going to be going to South by Southwest, they're going to actually have a real chamber for this kind of thing. And later this year in some of their AT&T stores, they're going to introduce the same chamber experience in AT&T stores, where you're going to be able to go in and be able to explore this HBO Max Orbit environment and get more interesting reactions from you and being able to see what you're doing. I think technologically wise, this is cool. Concept wise, I'm not exactly certain I'm sold on it. I'm not certain about this.
I mean, what if you're eating popcorn while you're watching TV? What does it do with that input?
Yeah, I mean, give you some food related thing. I don't know.
So I mean, the way they're using this is actually a gamification type attempt, right? So specifically, what they're doing is they're giving you different objectives, and it's going to recognize your facial movements or your speech or whatever to match it to a show. So you'll be given a show, and you're supposed to convince the TV that you're doing that you're mimicking that show, is what it sounds like, or say a phrase from a specific TV show within a time limit in order to get points and complete challenges and stuff. So it sounds like they're currently using it as a gamification thing. I mean, my thought is that this is a way for them to improve the efficacy and get more data to make this a more effective system, so that they can then use it to rate their shows and determine how people are responding. And it's in an explicit gamification scenario. It's kind of interesting, has some potential long-term appeal. the conspirator in me thinks that the ultimate goal here is to actually just find better ways to understand and spy on people and get information about what they like and dislike and things like that. So I'm kind of creeped out by this technology at the same time, and a little concerned about what will end up happening, and have no intention of ever putting this on any device I ever own, even though, and this is coming from the person that lets Echo listen to everything I say and do everywhere I am all the time.
Somebody out there is going to get tagged in a tweet by HBO that says, Jim claims he doesn't like the nudity in Game of Thrones, but he got really excited when there was that guy.
Yeah. I mean, it is way too potential creepy. That said, potentially compelling uses in augmented reality, virtual reality, and gamification.
Yeah.
But
they have a thing in here where you are supposed to be able to say certain phrases to bring up certain shows. You're supposed to be able to, like, within a certain time limit, be able to say phrases from the show and then find the exclusive, being able to see the thing, being by searching around you for certain things. And if you're able to do all the things within the time limit, apparently they've got a special early peak clip of Godzilla versus Kong, which on there for you to see if you know how to. I don't get this, AT&T. I mean, it doesn't make sense to me. Is this a thing? Is this what people want? I don't know.
I'll tell you what I want out of this, right? I'd be willing to do this. What I'd want it to do is for it to rewind back to at the point to where I fell asleep, right? and then just restart again, right?
Yeah, Clyde, there you go. All you got to do is install this on your TV, and then when Netflix auto advances to the next show, it'll watch you until you fall asleep, and then the next day it'll go back to the point in the series where you fell asleep, and you won't watch the whole season accidentally.
That sounds intriguing, but I'm clearly not the person that they want using this service, because I've been told my resting regular face is either angry or irritated, and just me normally watching it is going to be like, oh, he hates this show. Oh, he hates this show. He hates this show. And it's like, no, those are my favorite things.
Later, we have a story that might Google might have something to help you with that. So we'll talk about that later. Okay. Hey, but I do want to talk about this story. So we all heard all last year about this movie that's going to be coming out, Tenet, right? Mm-hmm. The movie.
Oh, so I heard it was the greatest movie that never got saw in the theater.
No. Some people saw it, but not that many. Anyways, it was this amazing, so good a movie. You have to see it in the theater. In fact, that's what the director said. He said that this is the kind of movie you need to see in the theater, in that high resolution, high def screen. Oh, yeah. Dark room environment, beautiful display, So a YouTuber decided to take his copy of Tenet, which is now available on DVD and and Blu-ray, and convert it and put it onto a series of, and I do mean series of, Game Boy Advance cartridges. Yes, there is a version of Tenet that has been ported over to the Game Boy Advance. Which does have a video format. This video format can have 30 minutes of video per cartridge. Thus, it takes 6 or 7 cartridges to watch this 4-hour movie. And it's limited in the fact that it's 192 by 128 pixels of a display.
Which is probably still fine.
8 kilobytes per second and 6 frames per second.
So that's the way the movie was supposed to be viewed anyway.
No, but I do want to see this, and after this, I am totally going to be watching this YouTube clip to see exactly.
I bet it
probably has a bit of the film. So.
I bet it would fit and play fine on my PSP. I would just have to find what was the stupid Sony version of Memory Stick.
Yeah, it was called the Memory Stick.
It was called Memory Stick.
No, that's what I was saying. Is I think it was Memory Stick.
Yeah,
that was supposed to be a question mark at the end. Was it Memory Stick?
We heard you. We were answering your question.
Yeah. But I was saying that I had already found
that
the
stupid
answer.
Memory Stick. It was called Memory Stick.
Yeah.
I saw somebody who hacked their Nintendo DS, and they opened it up and they showed me how they could play off of the SD card that they had plugged into their the Matrix. And it was you've seen like pictures that they've really brought the number of colors on the screen down in order to make it really compressed.
Mm-hmm.
So you see a lot of banding and shades and things like that. And it was like that, and the resolution was not very good. But I was like, hey, it's the Matrix in your pocket. That's kind of cool. Back in the day, I was like, hey, that's a kind of cool thing. So I like the appeal of this. Remember, we had a story a couple weeks, maybe a month ago, of a guy who's got a movie on a floppy disk, and I said, nuh-uh. Yeah. I still say this thing could have to do with several of these. They're much bigger than 1.44 megabits floppy disks.
Yeah, and this certainly proves it, since he had to take it down to 192 by 128 at 8 kilobits per second.
Yep.
And it still filled 5.
And,
those disks range from 4 to 64 megabytes. So a minimum of 4 times 5 floppy disks, right? Or, well, not quite 4 times 5, but you get my point. So right. Yeah, I think you were correct in your calling BS back then.
Oh, just on the audio.
But this is funny because it is interesting that you would put the effort into doing something like this and then make something that's effectively unwatchable. And the guy even admits that this is probably the worst possible way to view the movie.
I will say,
but he did it anyways.
In my opinion, the greatest things ever done were done out of spite. And maybe the fact that they were done out of spite makes up for any of what would normally be a criticism.
Are you saying that being out of spite gives it some greatness?
Yes, it forgives the shortcomings. I do love that this thing points out one thing that everybody that I know that has seen this movie has complained that the dialogue is almost unintelligible. And it says, imagine trying to decipher the already muffled dialogue through a Game Boy Advance speaker.
It makes you kind of wonder if the whole reason Christopher Nolan was like, you got to watch this in movies is they filmed the movie, they took it to post-production, and they got it all done, and they were like, holy crap, the audio was awful. We're going to have to refilm the whole thing. And he's like, no, we'll just tell everybody that it's only going to work in a cinematic experience. It'll make us more money, and we don't have to fix the audio issues.
Because most theaters are going to be like, sound anyway. And then you just blame it on the theater. You pull an Apple and you say, oh, no. It's not an antenna problem with the phone. It's the carrier.
It's the way you're holding your ears.
Yeah,
you're holding it wrong.
It's the way you watch the movie.
You're watching it wrong. All right. Next story we have. This story is basically, I've been around the web a couple times by the time we got to it. Netflix has decided to provide for some users on Android devices, have popped up a thing saying if you don't live with the owner of this account, you need your own account to keep watching. Essentially, this notification is popping up, just nudging you, the viewer, to say, verify that you are the owner of the account or you are within the household. But the thing that's not really talked about a lot is that it's a very small percentage of people who are seeing this. And there's a button that says, ignore this right underneath it. Allows you to bypass it right away. This is essentially Netflix is testing to see if they can scare people maybe into it, or Netflix can turn around to their shareholders and say, see, we're doing something about it.
Yeah.
This reminds me of in the 90s when the cable companies would put the text on your TV and they would run like fake call-in competitions or blah 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 to get this thing, call in now to be entered. And then people would call and they'd be like, okay, yeah, let me verify your account. Oh, you were not an account holder. You owe us money. do these stings. It's just a new version of that. I mean, honestly, who's gonna be like not gonna just say yes, I'm the owner, or hit ignore?
Yeah, I mean, I feel like obviously this is an early effort towards understanding what implications they'll have if they do this. And so probably the next step is to actually enforce, right? Like you'll have to do two-factor authentication or, verify via email or re-enter your password or whatever. So I think that's, and I think that's fair and reasonable. If you're like legitimately sharing your password with your, friend, cousin, uncle, and it's not technically within the terms of service, you still get around this, right? Because when they have to confirm, they just call you up and say, hey, can you click the confirm email? And you click it. It's as long as it doesn't do it every time, it's not that big of a deal.
And I'm not saying it's not like realistic or it's not something that they should do. I'm coming at it from the fact that they're going to face a big backlash. Because ever since the beginning, they were the company that says, we don't care if you share. Share it with everybody you want. And now they're like, we're at the point where there aren't really any new subscribers to mine. So those of you that have been getting free ride, you need to start paying up.
Well, I mean, I wouldn't go so far as to say that I don't feel like they were lax like that, like HBO. Like HBO early on, like legit said that, pirate Game of Thrones, we make enough money and we want everybody to watch it. But Netflix, I don't feel like they were quite that lax. They were more passively saying we're not going to worry about it.
I would
say,
and
we'll kind of turn a blind eye. And then, but they even have already gone well beyond that by limiting streams, right? So simultaneous streams is 1 for their free service and 4 for their most expensive service. So that alone encourages you to not share.
Yeah. All I'm saying is they're going to face a backlash because people need way less than this to fly out the handle. It's not like YouTube TV where it's clearly spelled out in their documentation that to be part of a family you must reside in and you are region locked. So every so many weeks I have to travel to Portland and sign in, or it literally shuts down. It just says, yep, nope, sorry, you can't watch it anymore until you go home. And like every couple weeks it asks me, hey, are you traveling or did you move? And I have to say the truth, I'm traveling. I'll be back in Portland eventually, and then and every once in a while I turn it on because right now there's not really any new live TV in my DVR, so I turn it on so infrequently that I'll turn it on. It's been like, yeah, it's been too long. You can't watch until you go home. So
how you say that this is going to have a negative reaction. I think that Netflix is being very, very smart about how much they're going to push this button, how hard, in order to get just enough reaction to get the right amount of reaction, in order for them to remind people, not get too many people upset, and get shareholders to notice that they're doing this. And this story has been all around, so got them good press. This is like just brushing that button just right to get just a lot of reaction out of it.
It's right
good on them.
now, since it's in the more test phase and not many people have seen it.
Right.
But I'm saying if they go wide with this, they're gonna face
Oh, yeah.
a backlash. That's
Huge, but
That's all.
but they've got just enough right now. I'm just really appreciating how perfectly they've done this as of right now, and they can walk away for this for a year and got positive results out of this. Quite frankly, that's great. All right, HBO Max is a streaming service you can pay for or get for free if you are an AT&T customer. It allows you to get access to a bunch of cool things, including day-and-date releases of movies for the rest of this year. But HBO has decided, hey, you know what? We can get more people if we have a less expensive tier. So it looks like they're planning to have a new version of HBO Max, HBO Middle. I don't know. That's basically gonna be HBO Medium. That's what it is.
It's HBO Max ads because you're gonna get the
Yes.
maximum amount of ads they can cram in there.
Right, they're going to be an ad-supported version, a tier of this of the service, which will give you access to pretty much everything the HBO Max currently provides, apparently, for a lower cost, or possibly no prices have been announced yet, so it could be even just be free ad-supported, but that's unlikely, quite frankly. But it will restrict you from watching those day-and-date releases that are released in theaters. So. Would you guys be interested in paying less to get HBO Max without the movies, or might as well spend the money, get no ads, watch the movies for free?
No.
I already get it for free, so no.
I get it when my internet service is AT&T, so I get it.
So
on
in other words, I am asking the wrong people. Is what you're
Yes,
saying.
But-
I am not gonna pay to get a service I already get free with ads.
But,
So,
I mean, to me,
I'm more the person to ask, right? Because I don't get it free.
You could.
But I sort of get it free, sort of. That said, I wouldn't pay for it without ads. So would I watch it with ads? And the answer is hell no.
So apparently they will not be interrupting any
No.
of their own shows, the HBO shows, with ads. So if you watch one of the HBO shows, you might get an ad at the beginning, you might get one at the end, but there will be no internet pushed in the middle of the shows.
So that's a lot more compelling.
Mhm.
I could sit through or, go get food for 2 minutes of ads at the beginning of a show and 2 minutes of ads at the end of a show. But I couldn't bear having ads in the show. I would always pay before I'd watch.
But that's
mid-show.
because those shows that were created for HBO Max weren't created with ad breaks. That's why it says
True.
those.
Right.
Anything that you're watching, like if you're on HBO Max to watch the back catalog of shows that were formatted for commercial space, you guarantee they will have the commercials at every commercial break.
Correct.
And your half-hour show may end up being like a 45-minute show because they want to get all those ads in there.
do you guys think this is to compete with Peacock?
No, I'm guessing that they just would like to increase their base from. They already think they're going to be getting have 150 million subscribers, and they want to go bigger and badder than there. They want to be. They want to be one of the top three.
To Jimmy's question, yes, because everybody else has a ad-supported version. Why shouldn't they? It's significantly cheaper. But with ads is a trend. Just like HBO Max was late to the party on the big platform, they're late to the party. They may as well be late to the party on the ad supported as well.
Yeah. I mean, I view this as more of a throwdown against Netflix and Amazon Prime. Really,
I'm looking at because you got CBS All Access has already. You got your Peacock. There's all these other services that.
But I think really what it's about is what Matt was saying, right? Is get viewers and then convert viewers to subscribers. So if they can get a lot of people watching ad-supported services and then they occasionally leak in some of their primo content
Yeah.
and convince you that it's worth paying to get all of the rest of the primo content, then or to remove the ads. I think that's what they're really looking for.
Yeah.
It's
Well, and
not-
that's why I was referencing CBS All Access and Peacock, because that's exactly what they do.
Right.
It's like
Yeah,
Peacock will let you watch like maybe 1 or 2 episodes of a Peacock premium show and then be like, "Oh yeah, if you like that, you can sign up for the ad-free version or, whatever."
If you ask HBO, I don't think they're going to compare themselves to them. I think they view themselves as a more premium service.
Oh, I don't care what they're going to say. We all know what they're doing.
So they're in it to compete against the bigger names, and I don't think anybody views Peacock and CBS All Access as the big names in streaming right now.
Also, I mean, this shouldn't be a surprise because they had talked about an ad-supported version back in the very beginning when they were announcing HBO Max. But everybody was too busy laughing about the name that I think they forgot that this was going to be a thing. So, okay.
Yeah.
All right, guys, if we're a fan of the original Apple HomePod, I've got sad news for you. They have discontinued that unit. That means that Apple's original device that allowed you to speak to their Apple Assistant has been relegated to the same pile as the Apple Hi-Fi. So unfortunately, it has been let go. Apple is still continuing to use their HomePod Mini, their $100 option. So they're still interested in providing those if you want to buy them. But the full-size HomePod, which they swear up and down was going to be a revolution in home experience, in the home audio experience. Unfortunately, the revolution might be over.
Yeah, I mean,
hey, I gotta say, it is a good-looking device. I know Jimmy has 1 or 2, right? And they probably sound great.
Yeah, I've got 2 on my desk right now.
The biggest problem with them really was the fact that they were really expensive, $350 a pop, and so if they were,
I don't have
$100
Jimmy Mini. I can't get 2 of them.
Well, I mean, I paid $299 for one and $200 for the other.
Wow.
You could always get them on sale, right?
That's
Still,
But,
that's what I'm talking about. That Jimmy Mini.
Yeah.
I mean, the thing is that I guess you have to ask yourself if you are more of a believer in the alternative, which is something like Sonos or Bose or a high-end actual speaker manufacturer to produce the quality of speaker that you want, and then because even Sonos is providing integrations and tie-ins with the providers like Google and Amazon. So it doesn't really, to me, it doesn't make sense to go and buy something that's tied to a single system and is by a brand that isn't known for making quality speakers, when I can go and buy Sonos that I know is a brand that sticks by their products, that isn't going to drop it in a year or two, which we know Google does all the time.
I got to interrupt right there because you keep walking all over. Do you remember the Sonos recycle mode where they set their devices to auto brick after a specific amount of time?
Oh yeah.
It's linked. They actually put a link to that in here.
Oh really?
I was trying not to laugh. I was trying not to laugh too loud every time you said Sonos. But
yeah,
when you said they stand by their product,
yeah.
know.
I mean, I had a couple of friends that had Sonos and they loved them and never said anything about that. So my expectation was that they had them for a long time. Maybe they were just buying new products.
The problem with the Sonos is it was a good product and people didn't feel the need to upgrade. And so Sonos developed a tool that basically bricked it and forced you to buy new ones. They had to roll back because of public outcry, because that is a straight up villain thing to do. But what are you going to say, Jimmy?
Yeah, I was going to say, I mean, I like mine. I still use them, still enjoy them. I mean, it's a good product. I mean, even I would say, I mean, if you're looking just for a smart speaker, yeah, there's lower cost options, right? But the sound that comes out of here, right? I really like it. I really enjoy these. But I guess the question in my mind is like, okay, so are they discontinuing this to replace it with something else? I mean, maybe, I don't know.
That's a possibility.
I think I was reading an article the other day, right around the day that they announced this, that perhaps maybe, Apple was going to get into like maybe a home theater system or something of that sort, which would be interesting if they do that, right?
Here's what makes sense to me is that I have my Google devices, and the big one was the Google Home Max that they had, and a lot of people like that one too. They actually compared between the two, this guy and that guy.
Similar product.
They were very similar in their quality of sound and the amount of sound they can make. But in my house, I don't need big speakers everywhere. I think the common place, everybody who just wants this smart speaker, they don't want it to have the big booming speaker system. They just want to have the convenience of having a thing that they can play decent sound, not too loud, be able to, ask it what, tomorrow's weather is going to be like. They just want something inexpensive. That is the market that makes sense for this. So Apple going to their less expensive HomePod Mini and keep on selling it makes sense. And if they do make a new version, great. Make it something that you can hook up to external speakers. You go buy those really nice speakers and hook up whatever you want with it. Make it so they'll blow us away, but make it not as expensive as this one ended up being to start with. So I think the market isn't there for what originally was a $350 speaker. I just think, or if there was a market, they bought it, and it's over. There's nobody left who really wants it anymore. So the market's over.
I think you're right. I think, for the most part, the market, if you want a smart speaker, you're going to buy, a $50 speaker or somewhere around, maybe $99 perhaps. Right. But, right around that price point is what most people want for a smart speaker. Right. I think what Apple was trying to do here, it is a smart speaker, but they're trying to straddle like a home stereo as well, right?
Yeah.
And it turns out that people either want like a really nice home stereo or they want a low cost smart speaker, right? Maybe not the both of those mesh together.
Yeah.
Right. All right. So related, we have Google. They have just released a new version of their Nest Hub Smart Display. This is the little smart display that's got the 7-inch or 10-inch screen. I can't remember which, but it's not gigantic,
isn't it?
Yeah, and this is the one that does not have a camera built into it. It is so it's intended to go into a place. Maybe you would be okay. Maybe you're the kind of person who doesn't want a camera. So this one is not perfect spot for it. But no, actually it's intended. What they want you to do with this one, it's been updated with things like it's got a better bass system, could be a little bit louder. Of course, it's got a new processor in it, so it probably runs a little bit faster, things like that. But the one big thing that they're putting in this is they're putting the little Soli adapter in it. And the Soli was Google's attempt to use a radar that's in the side of it in order to detect things that are happening in the room. And the one big thing that they're looking at to possibly use this for is to be able to, you have this in your bedroom, and it would be able to tell when you are in the room, and also tell when you have fallen asleep.
The real thing is, because this integrates with the Fitbit.
Mm-hmm. It will be able to do
when your Fitbit is
tracking.
alerting that your heart rate has elevated, the radar tells it what you were doing and says, "Oh no, it's okay." he's not in trouble.
The radar detected that no, it's fine.
It's okay.
Nothing to worry about there. No,
It's,
it will be able to be used to do basically a version of sleep tracking, much like you would do if you were wearing a device while you were sleeping. But this, you don't have to wear anything. You can just climb into bed, and it can tell when you fell asleep, when you turn over, when you wake up. So it's kind of cool if it works.
Yeah, I mean, this is kind of interesting to me in that, as somebody that has sleep apnea, I would be interested to know, like,
Right.
my sleeping habits and how to sleep better, and maybe be able to monitor how bad my sleep apnea is. All of that's kind of interesting. And it doesn't have a camera, though. What's the difference between having a camera and having something that can measure micro movements of your body and determine what you're doing?
So it's not painting a picture. It is literally just like radar. It does actually fill the room and it gets the bounce back.
Yeah,
but it's not
radar
it's not
can't paint a
your,
picture at all.
But it can't
it's
if
not
you're
the
scanning.
detail. But I mean, hey, there may be someone that gets off on radar
Watching
or
the
LiDAR photos of naked people.
I mean, yeah,
Like
you wouldn't be identifiable, but they could tell a whole lot about what's going on.
It's like, well, it's like the movie The Matrix again. The guy looking at the code and saying, "See the woman in the red dress there?" Oh man!
All I know is
Yeah.
Santa's getting really lazy. He's getting people to pay $100 to put a device in their house that will tell him when you're
Google knows
sleeping
when
and
you
when
are
you're awake.
sleeping. It knows when you're awake.
Yep.
Yeah. Why
It
didn't they
knows
just
when
call
you've
it
been
the-
bad or good, so be
But
something.
yeah, okay.
Yeah, I guess they could have called it.
It'll
the
be good for
Google
goodness
Date.
sake.
Yes, be good for goodness sake. Yeah. No, the worst part is going to be when after the scenario I mentioned earlier, because Google Home likes to send reports to my phone. Like if I ask it about something, it'll be like, I'll send the details to your phone. You wake up in the morning and there's a performance report. These are the areas you need to improve on. This is where you highlight where you were doing good.
Oh, yeah.
Hey, sometimes you need that information. That's
Yeah.
all I gotta say.
I mean, some
It
people
would-
some people will welcome it. Some people will be very offended.
Fair enough.
Just get the other service that looks at the facial expressions, right?
Starts recommending you practice, you do take up jogging to improve endurance.
You
No,
have to
I don't.
compare the two heart rates to see.
Yeah.
But
That's funny.
Yeah,
Yeah,
let's move on.
potentially interesting. I'm not sure how many people are going to get excited about it,
yeah,
but they'll know.
well, but if that's in my bedroom, how is it going to track the fact that I fell asleep in my chair yet again?
Yeah,
Or I
that's why
fell
you need to
asleep
have
on
one
the
in
couch.
every room.
Oh, you got to
You gotta have one in
room.
every room. Every room, man. It's the only way.
Okay, I need one in the car.
So wake up!
Like, haven't you ever gotten someplace and went, wait, how did I?
Yeah, I have done that, and that is freaky.
It is scary.
It is freaky. All right. Google has decided to cut their fees for the people who are using the App Store. This is them saying that we normally have been asking for 30% for everything that ever comes through the App Store and through the Google device. We've decided to make the change, just like Apple did before. Good job, Apple, on doing it first, and good job at Google for following up. They have reduced that percentage down to 15% for the first $1 million you make every year. I don't know if it's less than that after that, but anyways, that's we talked about this in months past about how they were we were interested in seeing if this big move, both from Epic being able to trying to sideload because they're not willing to pay, and Apple deciding to change their rates for different people, and now Google's following suit with changing the rates for how much for the Google tax in the App Store. This is great if you ask me. This is going in the right direction.
Okay, so I love the fact that 15% of a million, that's 150,000. Is my math right?
Yes.
Okay. I love how they're able
correct.
to play we're the benevolent person and we're doing you a favor by only taking 150,000.
It's 150,000 less.
It is, but it's still whew. Google, I think you'd be fine with 15,000. Just make it 1.5 or whatever. Yeah, that would be move the decimal point one more. Yeah.
Well, I mean, just like Apple, the only reason why they're doing this is because they get hauled in from Congress, right? That's the only reason why
That's
they're doing
very
this.
likely is one of the reasons.
Yeah, I was laughing about the way they're spinning it. Is like,
I mean, I think that the spin is viable in some respects, and in fact, this is generous, and the reason is, to me, logically, it makes more sense to have this in reverse, because Google adds the most value to those small vendors, right? To the company that makes $300,000-$400,000 off their app, or maybe $60,000 or whatever, right? It adds the most value to them because it makes a product that they couldn't possibly afford to reach their customer base.
Sure.
It gets to their customer base. They cover all of the credit card related fees and costs and stuff, and then the provider gets that. They don't have to create the merchant account to get the payments and stuff like that. So those are significant values added. And 1.5%, like you were proposing, certainly wouldn't work because the credit card fees are in many cases are higher than that. But the point being that they add a lot of value to that first $1 million. It's when you get to Netflix size that they add no value to Netflix. People will go and find Netflix.
Right.
So Netflix paying 30% or even 15% makes 0 sense for them. It is interesting. I think it's a good move because I think it really helps those people that need the help the most, right? Like if you're trying to live off of apps and you're making $60,000 or $100,000 a year off of apps, now you're going to make a little bit more, right? You're going to make 75 or
15% more. 15% more.
And I'm not saying that the fees aren't justified. And I agree with you. There is a value that you're paying for. I was laughing about the way they're spinning it.
Of course.
Their benevolence. Although I would argue that the reduction should go the opposite direction, that it should be higher when you're down low, because the more you make, that percentage should drop. Because once you get to a million, 1.5% of $1 million is way more than 30% of like $100, and it's much more beneficial, and then encourage people to give something to strive for. But yeah, I think they're doing it backwards, because they're basically saying, well, we're going to lower it until you get up here, and then we get to gouge you even more, rather than, hey, we've been here supporting you the entire time, and let's grow with you.
There's that mathematical point where it totally makes sense for you to make $999,999 and doesn't make sense for you to make $1,001,001.
Exactly.
No, I mean they don't make that foolish mistake, right? Because it is the first million you make, right? So
and then after that, it's 30%.
Yeah.
Right.
Oh, maybe
but
they
only
take
on the money over
that.
Right.
Okay.
But you still would make another $1.
Yeah,
but instead of making another 85 cents, you make 70 cents. So you make less, but you still net more. The other way, I see what you're saying. It certainly would if it just switched you into a different bracket.
You're in a different tax bracket.
Yeah,
it's
it's the same as the typical tax bracket argument. People are always saying, don't earn more money. It's like, no, you still make more money and keep more money if you earn more. You just keep less of the more that you earn.
No, what really sucks is if you have a life changing situation that drops you into a different tax bracket
Right.
and you aren't making more money.
Right.
And then all of a sudden you're like, I'm in big trouble.
Yeah.
Or if you have luck like me, you'd be the developer that made $1,001,000.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. So, there's a feature on your PlayStation. If you had a PlayStation 4 back in the day, or maybe it was a
I
PlayStation
do.
3.
I've got a 4.
There, and you were in Japan, unfortunately. There was an option for you to get an external hard drive and tuner that was allowed you to get your over the air streaming and the over the air signal and record it onto a device that allowed you to get it right onto your DVR. Well, if you live in Japan, they are re-bringing that out. This new unit is coming out with a standard of 2 terabytes and can support up to 6 terabytes of space inside. It has a tuner built in, so you will be able to get save that stuff and be able to use an app that's designed for your PlayStation in order to play it back. So available in Japan for 29,800 yen, which is about $275.
So basically, they repurposed a bunch of the old ones, or that
at least the cases.
It was the third party ones, ones that were still on the shelves, because at the end it said the new software won't do anything for its design, which is still made to match the PS3. What's wrong with the throwback?
It's fine. It looks good.
It looks like a shark fin. Hey, have you ever wanted a shark fin on a buffalo?
Mm-hmm.
There you go.
Oh, it's made by Buffalo.
It's made by Buffalo, and it looks like a shark fin. Yeah, I kind of remember this thing.
I do not. All right. YouTube Studio is introducing a new tool. There's this problem with YouTube where you could upload something, and then if you don't realize it, or maybe you do realize it, you're putting up something that will be struck by copyright. And that is bad for you. The new version of the tool will allow you to upload it, and during the time of upload, it will check for that, and it'll let you know then, before you get the strike, that we think this will give you a strike because of this or that. This is intended to try to reduce that copyright strike problem, and it is a sign seen by many people as actually good for YouTube creators because it allows them to avoid that problem.
Mm-hmm.
I learned this lesson the hard way, and that's the reason that I upload everything to private initially. I don't publish it. I don't publish it initially.
Will it let you know if it's not published? It's like,
yeah,
this is okay. That's good.
Then because then you still have a chance to go in, because there's nothing worse than putting up something that people saw and then having to take it down and then put it back up again. So
yeah, this is obviously a good move on their part. One of the biggest complaints that this is a major complaint of YouTubers is copyright strikes that are unjustified and having to worry about losing your channel because of that. And so this is a huge improvement and a much better approach. And if you can be more proactive at that point, right? You can upload it privately, contact YouTube, and make sure that you don't end up with a strike. So
the absolute worst is when you get a copyright strike for your own music. Something that you wrote and published just a couple weeks ago during BlizzCon. During BlizzCon, Metallica was playing, and all these people paid money to see Metallica play, and it was just like bleep blop music that Twitch inserted over the copyrighted material that was being played by Metallica, which was the funniest thing. And of course, they don't know it's happening. And there's nothing.
Napster bad.
Yeah, and I thought if anyone was going to get needed to be this happened to them, I think that was the right people. That was funny. That was just a couple weeks ago. So
All right, and last story is bands in town. I'm sure it says it sure looks like you should pronounce that some other way, but it is bands in town.
Yeah,
Bands in Town Plus is becoming available. It looks like it's only available on your Apple TV if you're interested in it, but it allows you to get a streaming service which for $10 a month gets you access to live streaming concerts that are happening all across the nation. I think we talked about this a couple weeks ago, but it is now officially live, I believe, as of today.
that's cool. Bands in Town has been a valuable resource to me because when I was still using Facebook, because it would notify me because it would say, oh, based on the stuff I listen to, and I've linked my Spotify to it. So based on the stuff I listen to and I've favorited, if they're coming to town, I will get a notification from Bands in Town that says, hey, that's why when Sabaton and Hammerfall were coming. And I told Mike, I was like, hey, Sabaton and Hammerfall are coming. That was because Bands in Town notified me that they were going to be here. I have no interest in doing the live streaming, and this is definitely not something I would buy Apple TV to use. So,
okay, well, it's also available on the web, so that's just
yeah.
And that is the news of the week, guys. I hope you enjoyed.
Alrighty, well, that brings us to the point in the show where we'd like to say thank you. Thank you to people like you if you are the kind of person that gives us money. So thank you, people that give us money via patreon.com/the VOD Squad. If you would like to be one of those people that is a recipient of a thank you from us, you can give us money at patreon.com/the VOD Squad. Thank you. All right. And on to Rants and Raves. Okay. Rants, raves. We've had a few. What about you?
I got one.
Okay.
It's really short. My son has
Is
refound.
he a rant?
Well,
You
it's
rant
not
about
exactly.
your son?
No, I'm not going to rant about my son.
Oh, okay.
I am going to say that he has, he does chores, and for some of his chores, he earns some cash.
Okay.
That's how he gets his allowance, essentially. Sure. And so he's worked up some cash, and he decided, hey, Dad, let's go down to the used video game shop. We actually have a shop that place in town that sells used video games, which, sometimes we find good deals there, or, old games. And they have old systems sometimes for sale, which is kind of a cool way to do that. But he's gotten himself back into Skylanders. He's about the right age for that anyways. And there are a ton of Skylanders. Since then, before we went to the local shop, he was going online to find Skylanders because the used market, it was great. It was so funny because he's discovering how people scam you, because he was like, oh, I'm going to go ahead, see, I'm going to go get this. It's very inexpensive. See, that Skylander is $4. Great. And it's $25 shipping. Yeah. It's like,
the best but when we went to it's a box. It's just the box. It's not the product. They'll sell you just the box.
And it's clearly labeled, or maybe clearly, but labeled well enough to say it's actually the box. And all I gotta say is that when we went to the local store and he found a whole bunch of them there for $3, no shipping, he's like, he was a very happy kid today, and he spent all his money on all of his allowance.
How much is the sales tax there?
8%.
Okay, yeah, still better than $25 shipping.
Oh, tons better. That's all it. Right. Just Skylanders.
Sweet. Yeah. All right, who's next?
So I'll go ahead and go. I haven't been here for a couple of weeks.
Where have you guys been?
Oh, that was going to be the topic of my rant, but
I'll let that go.
Oh,
sorry.
So I'll do kind of I'll just go. We watched Raya, the new Disney movie.
Mhm.
I would say it's pretty decent. Not a glowing endorsement, but the kids love it, and at least my youngest daughter loves it. I thought it was pretty decent, but it didn't feel like it quite lived up to most of the Disney movies to me. Probably the most glaring difference was that despite this being like their big release for the year, it had basically no music, and that's generally one of the hallmarks of a Disney movie is a good soundtrack with catchy songs that everybody can sing along to and fall in love with. So I found that very striking, and a big disadvantage to the show. Otherwise, it was decent. Um, a little more, and maybe they have something else up their sleeves, but I'm not aware of anything else they have up their sleeves for this year as being their big release. So it was it was good, but a little bit more kid like than I prefer. Um, and then we have been at Disney World. So we went and did all of that stuff and had a great time. Except Florida, this is the time of year where it, like, while we were there, it did that transition from being a normal place to being hell on earth. Um, uh, humidity jumped, like literally one day it was like, oh, this is great. And the next day it was like super humid, moderately warm. I mean, like 80 degrees isn't that bad, but when you add in, 50, 60% humidity, it's absolute hell. And you add on having to wear a mask 100% of the time, because anytime you're anywhere on Disney property, you have to have a mask on unless you're actively eating and stationary. You can't like be walking and taking a drink. So that was fairly unpleasant. We still had a great time though. I got to say, if you haven't been to Disney World, it is a lot of fun. It's very enjoyable. Two of the most amazing experiences you can have. Flight of Passage is probably the most amazing experience that you can get from an entertainment perspective, which is their Avatar ride that is simulated. It's a virtual reality ride on the back of a dragon, of one of the Banshee dragons from the Avatar movie, and it's unreal how cool that is. So that's a definite experience everybody should have. And then Smuggler's Run, where you get to navigate and fly the Millennium Falcon, is absolutely outstanding as well. You get a nice mock-up of the interior of the Millennium Falcon cockpit that you get to sit in and actually push buttons, and it's like playing a video game. The ship, the ride actually responds to the pilots and the gunners and stuff like that, and it's an interactive experience. It's pretty outstanding. So
I have a question real quick. So when you get on that ride, just like somebody have to go in and get on the top gun, somebody has to get on the bottom gun, couple people have to sit.
Oh, I wish. Unfortunately, it's just the cockpit that simulates. And
come on.
So everybody sits in 6 seats in the cockpit.
And then of course, would be that guy in the back yelling at the computer while R2's actually fixing it. That's what I want to do.
Yeah. I mean, it would be, they do have, Disney is really great about their immersive experiences. So as you walk into Galaxy's Edge, it does everything that you can see, more or less. There's a couple of little like tall like things that you can see out of the corner, but pretty much everything you can see fits the theme and appearance of a Star Wars planet. You've got the cantinas and everything. It looks great. All the cast members, that's what they call their employees, look outstanding and act like they're part of Star Wars. And you do get to sit in the Millennium Falcon like room where there's a medical bed and the hollow chess table and stuff like that. So you get a lot of the experiences. There's obviously it doesn't match the entire interior. They do have a roughly scale full-size Millennium Falcon in the courtyard out front of the ride. But unfortunately, you don't get to go into the interior and walk, like climb up into the gunner position or anything like that. Would be an amazing experience. But it is still very, very cool and very fun. I liked it a lot. And if you're a Star Wars fan, it's an amazing experience. And like I said, Flight of Passage for Avatar. It doesn't matter if you like Avatar. Getting to feel like you're riding on the back of a dragon is unbelievable.
Yeah, I would recommend next time you go there, if you haven't done it already, you should check out also Universal Studios there in Orlando.
Yeah, we did do that as well, and we're Harry Potter fans, so we did one day there to do all the Harry Potter stuff, and I will definitely give them props. Universal doesn't quite match up to the immersiveness of the Star Wars, but the Harry Potter land itself, the Wizarding World, looks absolutely phenomenal and is really well done. The rides don't quite match, in my opinion, what the Disney level rides, but they're still very enjoyable.
Did you try the Spider-Man ride when you were?
No, we didn't do anything that wasn't in the Harry Potter land. We just didn't have time to do them all, because we wanted to get it all done in one day, and it's the first day we were there, so we were all like jet lagged and tired and stuff. So we finished Harry Potter and called it. My understanding is that you're right. Like what you're implying, I think, is that they have some of the best roller coasters, just straight roller coasters. Everybody that I've ever talked to said that they have some of the best roller coasters. We just didn't have the time or energy to try to do those with all of the Harry Potter stuff, which was our real priority. Because we're a bunch of Harry Potter heads.
Good deal. All right. So I guess I'll go next. I think I've said before, that I subscribe to what used to be CBS All Access and recently just converted over to Paramount Plus. And there's a new show on there that me and my wife just started watching called Clarice. Okay. It's a spinoff from the Silence of the Lamb. It actually, the series actually picks up about 1 year after the Silence of the Lamb movie. And it's kind of funny. You see him using the old Motorola cell phones, the flip phone, the old flip Motorola thing, right? It was the one they made right after the brick.
It was the StarTAC, right?
Yeah, but not quite as fancy as the StarTAC. It was
the one right before the StarTAC. Oh, it was the brick that had the fold down door.
Yes.
I know what you're talking about.
Yeah. So they're using those cell phones. Yeah. So they held true to the time.
Yeah.
And all. But we're not very far into it, right? Matter of fact, we only just watched one episode, but that show is very promising. My wife really, we're big fans of the movie anyway, and they did it well. The lady that they got playing Clarice, she's doing quite a good job at that. It seems to be interesting. We're enjoying that one. So if you subscribe to Paramount Plus, then I'd recommend Clarice.
So a couple questions. So since you're a fan of the franchise, did you watch Hannibal?
The series?
TV show, yeah.
TV show? Yes. The first season only, though. I didn't see it past that.
And then the other question is, it's my understanding that Clarice, they don't have the rights to any of the other characters in that universe. So have they mentioned anything about Lecter? And if so, how did they refer to him?
In the first episode, they did not refer to Hannibal Lecter, but they did refer to Wild Bill.
Okay, yeah, because I know because Clarice, I believe that show suffers from the same thing that happens with some of the Marvel mutant stuff, where you can only, one company owns the rights to those characters, but they own the Clarice character and apparently Buffalo Bill.
Yeah, Buffalo Bill. I said Wild Bill, but Buffalo Bill.
Yeah, Buffalo Bill.
Yeah.
I was just curious how they were handling that. So you'll have to fill us in.
Just one episode into it. It didn't. I mean, they kind of made an off glance reference, but they didn't say the name Hannibal Lecter.
Yeah, I don't think they can.
So,
I don't think they're allowed to.
But we'll see. We'll see if they do that or not. If they make any references.
Yeah, I'm curious if they refer to him as the cannibal, just the cannibal.
I would.
I remember when I was working with the cannibal.
No, you know what I would do for me, and it was my showrunner, and I was like, and you're like, you legally cannot say this character's name on your show because legally you don't have the rights to it.
Hannibal Hector.
No. That's great.
And then there's going to be some guy with the last name Hector.
Just
hey!
Just call him Hanna-Barbera. Right.
No. I would do one of two things. Either literally put it in the show of actually, no, legally, you're not allowed to say that person's name for whatever reason, make up a reason, or better, have it so you're going to say the name and then have Clarice say, no, don't say that person's name. I don't ever want to hear that person's name again, and just move on. Just kind of like.
Well, the problem is they can't if they reference it in the context, and we even just to say no, we're not allowed to say that. That opens them up for...
You can brush by that and say,
copyright.
And remember that case? Remember that case back in the no, I don't even want you to talk. Don't even bring that name.
No, but yeah. That's why I was saying, I'm curious how they're going to refer to him as whether it's the cannibal or that, whatever. But the things that I think about are varied and fleeting. And every once in a while, something catches my eye, and I'll go, I know a little bit about that. I'll give it a few minutes. How much do you guys know about Skinwalker Ranch?
I have no idea what that is. When you wrote it down, I thought you were talking about Skywalker Ranch, which is something else entirely.
Skinwalker Ranch is an actual ranch in Utah. It's famous for being a hotbed of unexplained phenomena. It's called Skinwalker Ranch because this ranch is positioned in the middle of tribal land. It's the area that the tribe would actually go into because they talked about the Skinwalker that from their heritage or belief structure or whatever. I don't know how to refer to it, but that's where the Skinwalker resides, hence the name of Skinwalker Ranch. It was a thing that when the people came in and purchased the property way back when, the natives were like, yeah, we're not putting up a fight because we don't want to go there because of all this weird stuff. But it's been the kind of place that, there's been books written about it, documentaries and stuff. But for many, many, many years, there was never, cameras weren't allowed there. I think because the federal government owned it for many years and did all kinds of stuff out there. But there was a documentary on, I think it was Discovery or one of the, History. It was History. It was a reality show, kind of one of those, whatever. I don't even know how to describe them. They're basically shows that I hate and I can't stand because it's rather than giving you the info, they tease something and then they keep going back to earlier flashback things and re-showing you the same things over and over. But so it's one of those shows. But it's The Secret of Skinwalker Ranch. So Basically, what the deal is, a property or like there's a company that is now the owner of that ranch, and they want and they have a vested interest in finding out what's going on there. So they, they've got scientists that are basically stationed there, and then they did this whole docu-series. I would highly recommend watch the first episode. Everybody should watch the first episode. So the first episode, they sit down, they have a meeting with the owner guy. They explain, because this astrophysicist guy comes in, they've invited him to whatever. They go through the whole thing, and it gives you an idea of the backstory. Then just skip to the last episode. Which is exactly what I did. Because in the last episode, they have the Utah Attorney General, because the state of Utah has a vested interest in finding out what's going on there, because people have gotten hurt. There's been all kinds of stuff. So the last episode is basically them giving a report to the Attorney General of, this is the stuff we documented. This is the stuff we experienced. Like everybody that works there over the years ends up with some sort of malady. Like one dude ended up, and a lot of times it's like stuff that's attributed to radiation. Like the astrophysicist guy, while he was there for 3 months, he was somehow exposed to gamma radiation and had to be hospitalized. Yeah.
Was his name Bruce Banner?
That's what I was going to say. And then one of the other dudes, it had a thing. But yeah, just watch the first episode and then watch the last episode. And the last episode is basically the book report that tells you everything that happened throughout the season. And it's interesting.
Okay.
I mean,
that'd probably be the easiest way to watch it, quite frankly.
Yeah. I mean, because
that's the story. Here's the story.
I can't sit through that style of show. Just is painful, because it's like every episode they just rehash the same information over and over and over, and you may see the same clip from like 3 episodes ago 5 times in like later episodes. But yeah, The Secret of Skinwalker Ranch. It's on Hulu. Watch the first episode and get yourself filled in on the history of the place, and then watch the last episode and find out what they experienced. And then also join us next week, and you can fill us in on what you experienced when experiencing this episode in the chat. Because if you're here live in the chat, you get to talk to us directly and fill us in on whatever you want us to be filled in on. Does that make sense?
Yep. And feel free to bring your astrophysicist.
Yeah. We are not an astrophysicist free zone, so
they're fine.
They're perfectly welcome. Yeah. No. Thanks everybody for hanging out with us tonight. We are here every Wednesday night, 9 p.m. Central on Twitch. If you're not able to join us live, you're probably already listening to us on the podcast, because you're clearly not watching us on YouTube.
But let other people know that they can listen to us on podcast.
Absolutely. But that's the thing is, however you would like to consume this content, there is a way. And yeah, I would say everybody stick around, head on over to tvs.showbot.tv. I will be voting on titles in the post show. And also reminder, there is a movie party this weekend. We will be viewing 2 competing predictions of the future that lies before us. The first one is A Boy and His Dog. The second one is Zardoz. Have any of you seen either of those?
I believe I've seen part of Zardoz.
Sean Connery in like a leather bikini suit.
In the weirdest costume ever.
Yes.
It's like Borat.
Well, I'd say it's where Borat got the idea, probably.
Yeah.
All right. Well, we'll talk a little bit about that in the post show. But thanks everybody for hanging out with us. We'll go ahead and shut this down, and we will catch you guys next week. Bye.
Bye.
Diamond Club hopes you have enjoyed this program.